Oppo's plan to regain its share in the budget smartphone segment involves one primary goal: beat Xiaomi's Redmi series in the same way it has everyone else. Don't believe me? Just read out Oppo's new sub-brand's name, only slower. Yes, the Realme sounds a lot like Redmi. Moniker aside though, is its first product, the Realme 1, capable enough to take on the country's one of the most sought-after smartphones, the Redmi Note 5 Pro? Let's find out. Coming up next on TechPB.com. Hey guys, this is Shubham from TechPB, and today we'll be pitting Oppo's new Realme 1 against the Xiaomi's Redmi Note 5 Pro. Before we get started, do make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified as soon as we post a new video. The most critical differences between the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Realme 1 are clear as soon as you put them side by side. While the Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with a familiar and conservative all-aluminum exterior, the Realme 1 flaunts the company's signature build, which might seem like glass but is actually made out of a plastic and a polymer composite material. Even though it's filled with fingerprint smudges, the Realme 1's design is the one that stands out with its shiny back, especially if you buy the Diamond Black edition. The Redmi Note 5 Pro scores points in the build department. It's a lot sturdier and the extra weight conveys a satisfying sense of density. Plus, the Redmi Note 5 Pro has a curved rear that sits comfortably in your palm and makes it ergonomically a better phone here as compared to the Realme 1's flat rear. The Redmi Note 5 Pro does have one drawback. There's a protruding camera bump, and as a result the phone wobbles on flat surfaces. Both the phones come with a 6-inch 1080p LCD screens. They are 18:9 panels, which means you won't find a whole lot of bezels on the front in either case. However, the space around the display is much narrower on the Realme 1. The Realme 1 screen is also the more accurate of the two, but the Redmi Note 5 Pro has a brighter one. Both of them have a layer of Gorilla Glass. There are a handful of other differences when we discuss the rest of the build as well. The most important one of those is the lack of fingerprint sensor on the Realme 1, which I also feel is its biggest shortcoming. Instead, Oppo expects you to entirely rely on a face unlock feature, which is a little too inconsistent to be the primary means of authentication. On the Redmi Note 5 Pro as well, the face unlock is nothing more than a gimmick, but there at least you have another biometrics option. The Realme 1 does have its own upsides though. For starters, it has a dedicated micro SD card and is even compatible with dual 4G voice over LTE, something which is entirely absent on the Redmi Note 5 Pro. But there is a possibility Xiaomi might add it in a later update, but we don't know when there's update coming. The speaker output is nearly identical on both of them. The Redmi Note 5 Pro has 3 more advantages in this category: a LED notification light, support for 5G Wi-Fi networks, and an infrared blaster which can be employed for controlling various appliances like a television or an air conditioner through your phone. The software is a similar story among this duo. Both of them ship with a custom Android skin which is heavy on features and light on regular updates. The Realme 1 comes with ColorOS 5.0 on top of Android 8.1 and the Redmi Note 5 Pro MIUI 9.2 over Android 7.1. Xiaomi did begin rolling out the Android 8.1 update, but for some reason it has paused the rollout. Clearly, the Realme 1 already has managed to acquire a point for having the most recent Android version, but that's the only area it's better in this aspect. While the Redmi Note 5 Pro also has a highly customized Android software, it offers a dramatically better experience than the Realme 1. That's mainly because Oppo's desire to make its software look and function like iOS has led to a series of painfully unintuitive elements on ColorOS, like dismissing a single notification is a two-step process, apps like Truecaller don't often function properly, and more. There is one bit to appreciate about ColorOS though: navigation gestures, which are responsive and well implemented. The Redmi Note 5 Pro will be receiving those in a forthcoming MIUI 9.5 update. Performance is nearly identical on both the phones, but first let's discuss the specifications. The Realme 1 is powered by a MediaTek Helio P60 processor, 3 or 6 GB of RAM and up to 128 GB of internal storage. The Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with a Snapdragon 636, 4 or 6 GB of RAM and up to 64 GB of onboard storage. The similarities on paper extend largely to real-life usage too, as both of them can handle everyday tasks without any hiccups. The Redmi Note 5 Pro does exercise one upper hand here, and that is gaming, but that's not a significant difference. The Redmi Note 5 Pro also has a larger 4000 mAh battery as compared to the Realme 1's 3410 mAh pack. The Redmi Note 5 Pro is compatible with Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0, but you will have to buy an adapter from somewhere else since it's not bundled in the box. The Realme 1 on the other hand doesn't support any sort of quick charging technology. Both of them can easily last more than a day on a single charge, but on the Redmi Note 5 Pro, you will get just a couple of hours more. The camera is another area where the Redmi Note 5 Pro carries a superior hardware. It has two 12 megapixel sensors on the rear as opposed to the Realme One's single 12 megapixel snapper. On the front, there's a 20 megapixel selfie camera, while the Realme One has only a 8 megapixel lens. Numbers aside, the Realme One and the Redmi Note 5 Pro don't have any critical differences as far as the quality is concerned. Both of them are capable of producing detailed and well-balanced shot in daylight. However, the Redmi Note 5 Pro's software is a lot more consistent than the Realme One. Because of that, the Realme One will occasionally click something which is overly processed and undersaturated. Whenever the Realme One's camera does work, it shoots equal if not better pictures. In dimly lit scenarios as well, the Redmi Note 5 Pro is the better of the two cameras here. Images taken on it in low light are much less grainy and more usable than the Realme One. The portrait mode functions better on the Redmi Note 5 Pro for both the front and the rear camera. In addition to that, it also has EIS, which results in much smoother clips. Both the phones can shoot 1080p videos, which are just average, but on the Redmi you also get an option for slow motion. The bottom line is that the Redmi Note 5 Pro is a more competent smartphone with a better set of cameras, sturdier build, longer lasting battery, much less annoying software, and most importantly, a fingerprint sensor. Unless you absolutely want a unique design and other Realme One's perks like dual 4G voice over LTE, a dedicated SD card slot, and a significantly lower price, I would suggest going for Xiaomi. That's it for this video guys. Do hit the like button if you want us to make more such comparisons, and until the next time, may the tech be with you.